Hi, I'm Miles from Chorley Group MG. I'm here today to talk about the MG HS plug-in hybrid. We're going to talk about this car because it's a bit different from the ZS, which is fully electric, and also from the standard petrol HS. This one's a plug-in hybrid. That means it's got a range of about 32 miles on pure electricity. It does mean that you need to plug it in though. So what we're going to do, we're going to get it unplugged. We're going to take it for a bit of a drive and see how the range works out. So what we're doing, we're setting off in EV mode. So as long as the battery has got charge, it will be able to drive on electric for about 30-32 miles. Around town it could be as much as 40 odd miles, depending how you drive. Now I live in Skipton, which is it's a hilly place. There's a lot of hills around, and we live on the top of a hill. So typically when we're setting off now, we're going to use probably quite a bit of it would have been regenerative braking, but because the battery's already full, we've set off from home, it's not really going to do much regen. So anyway, as we're driving, we're going to see how the range reacts. If you put it in EV mode, the heater doesn't work. In order to use the heater, it has to use the engine to start up. So if you're doing a really short journey in winter, it's going to mainly use the petrol engine, because it's going to start the petrol engine regardless. If you start asking for heat. But as we go now through town, to be honest, it's quite a mild day. It's 10 degrees this morning. I've got heated seats in the front. Kids don't in the back, but they've got the coats on anyway because they're going to be jumping out in a minute, so that's fine. So overall, we can drive on electric mode. It's a 90 kilowatt electric motor. What that means in practice is that you've got plenty of power for driving around the town or city, with really very little problems with acceleration, etc. Electric motors have got all their torque available straight away. So straight off the bat, this has probably got more get up and go than a normal car would have in say first or second gear, because you don't have to rev it to get the power, it just goes. So we're on our way to drop off kid number 1 at school. Like most families out there, you've probably got kids in different schools or different year groups, and with the restrictions that are happening on for COVID now, we've got different start times for different children. So dropping one child off first at one side of the town, and then we've got to drive to the other side of town to drop the other one off. Really good example of what it's like to use this as a family car day to day for people. All right, have a good day, bud. So that's both boys dropped at school. We've done just over 2 miles, and for most people, actually, using it for the school run, that's a very typical sort of journey. You'll drive a couple of miles maybe to the school, a couple of miles back. At the moment, we've used just 5% of the battery. So I'd say 2 and a bit miles for 5%. So multiply that out, that's going to get us around the sort of 40 miles mark, which is pretty good. So overall, that's a sort of journey which is perfect for a plug-in hybrid or an electric vehicle. Plug-in hybrids give you the benefit of having less range anxiety than a full electric car. So in a full electric car, obviously it's pure electricity, you don't have an engine, and it just drives 150 miles, let's say, on a single charge. With a plug-in hybrid car like this, the range is lower, but most people, their daily driving is 20 miles a day or less. So, and a lot of that is an urban commute, which is terrible fuel economy in a petrol or diesel car. Petrol and diesel cars, if you're driving first, second, third gear, you're never going to get close to the manufacturer's recommended MPG figures. You're just not going to get anywhere near. So, yes, if you're doing 70 miles an hour on a motorway, a diesel car can be quite efficient to run. But when you're crawling around at, well, my average speed this morning so far is 13 miles an hour because I've been in traffic and I've been doing the school run. When you're doing those sorts of speeds, you're not going to get good efficiency from a diesel or a petrol car. And that's when a hybrid or plug-in hybrid car like this really works out well, because electric motors got all the torque available from 0 RPM. So at slow speeds particularly, they're very efficient. And that's borne out by the figures. So this car's got a rated range of 32 miles on a combined cycle, but around town it reckons it can do 40 miles, which is matching the figures we're seeing. So we've just come out of Cone now, we're just onto the M65. We've done almost 16 miles and we've got 62% of the battery remaining, which means realistically, on that sort of urban driving we would get over 30 miles, possibly 35, 40 miles on a charge. But we're now on the motorway, and so obviously the motor's having to work a bit harder, and so it's going to be using more of the range faster. So we're going to drive from here to Burnley and just see what the range is like when we get to Burnley. Still just on an EV only mode. I'm currently doing, just got to 70 miles an hour. I'm still in electric mode only, so the engine doesn't need to start. So we're going to go to Burnley on the motorway. Now if I floor it, if I put my foot flat to the floor, it's going to start the petrol engine to give us a boost of extra acceleration, because it's limited to just about 100 horsepower or so on electric. When it starts the petrol engine together with it, it's got combined 290 odd horsepower, so it's a really powerful, potent car. 0 to 60 in about 7 seconds if you put it into the full power mode. But I'm just trying today just to see how much we can get out of the electric mode, to see how efficient we can be. And so far it's doing pretty well. I'll check in again once we've got to Burnley. So got here to Burnley, end of my daily commute, well, halfway at least. Done 22 miles, including dropping the kids off at school and coming here, and the battery's got 40% remaining. So that's pretty good. So I think that, realistically, when they say it can do 32 to 40 odd miles on a charge, bearing in mind that quite a bit of my journey there was on the motorway from Cone at 70 miles an hour ish. I think that's pretty good. It shows that it can do on pure electricity. It can drive up to the speed limits nationally without any issues, and it can do that on pure electricity. But let's take it for a little drive up to the hills and we'll see, have a look around the vehicle itself. So the MGHS plug-in hybrid comes with much the similar specs to the petrol version. It comes in two options, the Excite or the Exclusive. This is the Excite specification, which still comes with the roof rail, still has the 18-inch alloy wheels, still has MG Pilot as well, which is the adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist system, and traffic jam assist, which is a part of MG's suite of tools which make journeys on motorways a lot easier, really. That's available on both the Exclusive and the Excite as standard. It's all got the same sat-nav unit and everything is all the same on both models. On the Exclusive you upgrade, you get the panoramic glass roof, you get some slightly sportier front seats with one-piece backs which are electric, and you get LED headlamps, although these do have LED daytime running lights and fog lights and things like that, as you can see. One of the benefits of this plug-in hybrid versus a pure electric ZS, for example, is that this has got the ability to have a tow bar fitted and can tow up to 1,500 kilos. So if you've got a small caravan or a trailer that you want to be able to tow, this is the option for you. Obviously, if towing isn't something you need to do, then the ZS EV, being pure electric, can satisfy many of your driving requirements. But the HS, if you need to tow, this is the one for you. So it's just changed over from EV to normal driving modes. The engine started up now because the battery ran out of charge completely. We're just done over 37 miles at that point. So as you can see, MG statistics are saying at just 32 to 40 miles on a charge is very accurate. Some cars, they've overstated the mileage quite a bit, but this seems to be able to get the figures. Bear in mind, we've been driving at 70 miles an hour on motorways, we've been going up some very steep hills, going up to the wind farm. So overall, I think it's really impressive. Now, as I said, in winter, in the depths of winter, if you've got a really cold, icy car and you need to de-ice it, you're going to need to put the demisters on. That's going to start the engine to create the heat in the car. So that's going to affect your range, perhaps for the first 2, 3, 4 minutes of the journey whilst the car warms up. But after that, it'll switch back automatically to EV mode. When it changes from electric mode to using the hybrid petrol engine as well, you just feel a slight gear change as the drive modes change. It is just like, I say, changing like a 5th to 6th change on a gearbox on an automatic. It's just that sort of slight movement you feel, and then it's back to driving. You don't need to do anything else. It does it all for you. So We're currently driving on 0% battery. We're going to drive back effectively now the car becomes a hybrid. So it's like two cars in one. When you've got your full charging initially, it works like an electric car, and then once you've used that up, it becomes a hybrid car. And so it still gets efficient miles per gallon. So we'll drive back to Skipton now. We'll see what the journey's like, see how our overall MPG is for the journey, and report back later. So there we have a quick test today in the MG HS plug-in hybrid. Just on over 51 miles total since we set off this morning. On average, because of the electricity it's used as well as a bit of petrol, it's averaged over 100 miles per gallon. Since we ran out of electricity, I reset the trip so we could see how it did just on petrol, and it was 40.7 miles per gallon. So the thing is, with a plug-in hybrid, the best performance is if you plug it in. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my charger and plug it in now. And if you can plug it in on your driveway overnight, you're going to get, let's say, 100 miles per gallon plus. Particularly if you're doing short journeys under the 40 miles, you're going to do most of that on electricity, and you're going to see sort of 200 miles per gallon plus averages probably. But if you've got a longer commute like me, you probably see more like 100 miles per gallon. The more you drive it without electricity, the worse the MPG is going to get, down to about 40 miles per gallon if you run it as a hybrid, which still, as a large family SUV with 300 brake horsepower, is very impressive. I think it's a great car, and if you want to test drive it, you can get in contact with our MG dealerships in Chorley and in Burnley. And also, so this is the Excite version, which is 29,995. The exclusive is 31,495. Now, if you want to go and move from a petrol or diesel car to a plug-in hybrid, then MG are currently offering a £4,000 discount if you're trading in a petrol or a diesel car. So that brings the price down to about 25,995 for this model, which is very, very competitive.